Fabulous. All right. Do you wanna introduce yourself first, Phil?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Phil. I work at the Royal Albert Hall Tours Department. Woo! Hi.
Hi, I'm Liz. I am the Royal Albert Hall's archive manager. I look after the history of the hall, all of its special collections. I answer inquiries from members of the public all about the history of the building and what's gone on there. And me and Phil are going to be talking today about quite an interesting subject that we get asked about a lot. So we've had a few different people ask us the same question. We've had Nick Piper at Nick Piper on Twitter. We've had at Gaffer_636 and at Orla Oreos on Instagram all ask us, does the Royal Albert Hall have ghosts?
Ooh. That explains why I'm dressed as a ghost, Liz. Don't. I love the way you scream as I take the sheet off. That's flattering.
Oh yeah, it should be the other way round, shouldn't it? Oops. Sorry, Phil. Love you. So
How are you, Liz?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We're on to one of my favourite topics.
Yeah, I bet this is this something that you get asked about a lot?
Yes. On guided tours of the building, people often want to know, do we have any ghost stories, any famous ghosts? We do, don't we?
We do. We have absolutely tons of ghosts. This building is, if you believe in that, absolutely riddled.
I don't know if I do believe it, but that sort of, it would ruin the fun if I start off by debunking ghosts, wouldn't it? And I can, don't worry, I could.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very open-minded. So, you know, I love collecting people's stories about ghosts at the hall, and we still get them today. Members of the public messaging in or talking to stewards, or there are members of staff that apparently have had experiences, and so yeah, it's a fun part of our job collecting these stories. From the top to the very bottom of the Albert Hall, there seems to be things going on.
I mean, have you seen any yourself?
I haven't seen any ghosts at the hall. I think there were a few parts of the building when I first started working there which were a bit scary just because they were a bit dark. There's lots of different rooms and staircases and dark spots within the building. So if you're there on your own, it does seem quite creepy, like a lot of theatres, I suppose.
Exactly. I'm always. I mean, the stories to me, and probably to you, are the most interesting thing. I guess. Like there were quite a lot. I have a theory here. It's untested. Quite a lot of our reported ghost sightings, to me, fit in perfectly through the kind of Ghostbusters phenomenon. So kind of like through the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
I just wonder, maybe these sort of pop culture fads, even going back to the 19th century and the fake fairies hoax. I wonder if you can draw a little bubble around there. I don't know. I'm coming from a very sceptical angle, though. Tell me about the ghosts. I want to believe.
So, I'm going to make you believe, Phil. Well, there's been so much paranormal activity that I suppose it might have been a bit of a marketing thing at the hall in the early mid 90s. But we did invite a paranormal investigator into the hall in 1996 who stayed overnight to investigate some of the things which workmen and members of staff thought they'd seen over the years, including workmen's tools going missing or moving up in the gallery, people seeing the figure of a Victorian boy up there. So he came in overnight. He was flanked by a lot of journalists, including people like Giles Corran, who stalked him overnight. The result of which made national headlines. It was on all the breakfast news channels.
Nice.
He didn't find any ghosts. It has to be said. But
all you had to do was pretend.
He did find some extreme heat fluctuations up in the balcony. So I think that is just fundamental proof that we are haunted. But nevertheless, I know what you're saying about kind of the 80s and 90s being a little bit of a time when we had a lot of paranormal sightings, and probably one of the most frequent and famous is the occasion of the girls, who are the figure of two girls dressed in sort of 18th century costume, arm in arm, and they're walking down in basement 1, door 6 corridor. So that's the north side of the building in the basement, first level basement. And they were seen on the same day, almost at the same time, for 3 consecutive years by different members of the security teams or catering teams, who saw them linking arms and giggling and walking through, actually freakily, through to our staff canteen. So I do wonder about that when I go down and have my lunch there sometimes, about whether they're watching us. So I was just going to say, we don't know where they've come from. We have no proof that that's a real story, but people kept seeing them, and they were kind of shadowy figures that disappeared. And there's some stories which say maybe they're the ghosts of 2 young girls who were in the basement of Gore House, which used to stand on the site of the hall before it was built.
Yeah.
And Gore House was the home of the Count d'Orsay and Lady Blessington, and they had quite an interesting lifestyle. They hosted some quite interesting parties, and so this story has been kind of linked together, but we obviously have no evidence to back that up. But otherwise, within the rest of the building, there's been the Father Willis ghost.
Yes.
So this is quite an interesting one. So Father Willis, or Henry Willis, he was the first builder of the Hall's organ, which was the biggest instrument in the world at the time when the Hall opened in 1871. And on several occasions, people have claimed that they've seen a dark, shadowy male figure appear beside the side of the organ whenever the organ has been refurbished. So the last time there was a major restoration was the 1990s, and then before that the 1920s. And on both occasions, workmen within the hall said that they saw this shadowy figure.
Fantastic. I think that's the organ maker Henry Willis, who, as you say, designed our fantastic Royal Albert Hall organ. I think maybe he's the only named celebrity ghost. They're my favourite ghosts. You know, you go to Windsor Castle, you get Anne Boleyn, easy, done. I know who Anne Boleyn is. It's like that with Henry Willis, but the other sightings are tricky. Like the young girls in the Victorian dress, if they were in the basement of Gore House, which must have been a lot shorter than the Albert Hall, why are they so high up in the Albert Hall? Like how did they get up there?
These are all very good questions, and I'm just going to say we just don't know. We just don't know.
Was there another sighting with a thing that came out of a radiator? I've seen a drawing of this. I think it's on one of the blogs.
Yeah, I don't know about a radiator, but it came out of the ladies' toilets. I think that's what you might mean.
Yeah, sort of an unnerving atmosphere emanating from the toilets.
So when I first started at the Royal Albert Hall, I was told this story about how a female security guard one evening had gone to make sure the building was secure. She'd gone up to the gallery and gone into the female gallery toilets. And on opening the door, this huge pulsating ball of light just was there in front of her and made all her hair stand up on end. And she just froze. And after that, she quit. She never came back. So who knows? But I have to say, until those toilets were recently refurbished, I actually did avoid them because of that very story, because I'm very easily spooked.
Maybe it was just the plumbing. It may have been the plumbing.
It could have been the plumbing. It could have been a lot of things. Also, but it's a great story.
Absolutely. You know what? I've just thought of a fantastic ghost story at the Hall, going back to 1930, and the medium Estelle Roberts.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
She hired the Hall and held on stage in 1930 a seance to communicate with the spirit of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. Apparently 10,000 people turned up to await Sir Arthur returning to this world. A row of chairs was arranged on stage for his family, with one left empty for Sir Arthur. Apparently the crowd then started to get a bit restless. Where is he? We've paid to see him. Come on, where is Sir Arthur? And as people started to leave the hall in their droves, the medium, Estelle Roberts, leapt up and shouted, "He is here! He is here!" And the crowd stopped, came back, and all eyes gazed upon the empty chair as the medium relayed a private message from Sir Arthur to his widow. The contents of that communication never revealed, and then the whole thing was drowned out by the Henry Willis organ. So there you are.
Yeah, that happened.
And Conan Doyle had been himself at the Royal Albert Hall in 1901 as one of the judges of the world's first ever bodybuilding contest.
Yes, yeah, he was really into bodybuilding. But yeah, that Estelle Roberts a seance, that's one that definitely we get asked about a huge amount. I think it's one of the more famous events that have happened at the Hall. And we had absolutely hundreds of seances and spiritualist events at the Hall, which is something people don't know about.
No, I didn't know there were so many. I only know about them at that one. Fantastic.
Yeah, they kind of were really big after the First World War because so many people so many bodies were left in France and families were never reunited with them. So spiritualism really became a huge thing as a way of families trying to deal with their grief. And so we had spiritualist events at the Hall every year, really, right up until probably the 1980s, I think.
Fantastic.
And then any other ghosts? So you were saying that our most famous kind of celebrity ghost was Henry Willis, but we have had some ghosts appear at or just before celebrity concerts, haven't we?
Yes, very. They've picked some really slightly esoteric events, haven't they? That you wouldn't necessarily expect them to turn up to.
Yeah, I think the weirdest one maybe, I mean, no disrespect to 𝒍𝒂𝒍, but apparently there was a white figure seen that crossed behind him on the stage during his gig in 1990.
Blimey, poor Jasper. Has he been back since? Or...
I don't think he has. Maybe for a comedy gala or something, but I don't think he's headlined since. And then I think we had an appearance during a Gary Barlow concert. I think that might have been one of our most recent ones, where a member of the audience tweeted into the Hall and said that she'd seen the figure of a woman wearing black clothing run across the front of the empty stool seating just before the concert started, and she was absolutely adamant she'd seen that. So that's gone down in our ghost recordings. But
maybe it was Madonna. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, maybe it was Madonna. She's never performed here. Maybe she was trying to get on stage. So I think that is our ghost chat kind of completed. So thank you for sending in your questions. If you've got any more questions, remember to use the hashtag #AskLizandPhil and copy in at Royal Albert Hall. We'd love to get any more weird and wonderful questions that you have. But for now, this is me signing off.
And this is me also signing off. Thank you very much, Liz. Remember,
and until next time,
Ask Liz and Phil.
Stay safe and stay at home. Bye.